The quiet air of Earth's oldest space garden felt heavier than usual. Ilian Kara stood at the edge of a crystal walkway, her eyes tracing the stars that shimmered above the dome. Her hand rested on a plaque list of names, etched in silver, glinting faintly under moonlight. One of the names was Alara Ven, her best friend, her sister by heart. It had been 3 months since the tragedy on Lyravel. 3 months since Alara, along with 499 other women, had been taken in a moment that shattered the galaxy's peace. And yet the pain felt fresh in Ilian's chest. Like an echo she couldn't escape. She missed her. Not just in memories, but in the thousands of unspoken words. The way Alara's laugh would fill a quiet room. The way she painted her thoughts with poetry and star maps. The way she hugged without asking if it was needed. Now that light was gone. But what made the pain? Deeper was the distance that had grown before Alara left. The last time they spoke, it was rushed. A message. "I'll be back soon, Eily. Save a cup of sea leaf tea for me." But Ilian didn't reply in time. She had been busy with Federation work, meetings, and policies. She had told herself she'd write back the next day. But the next day never came. And now. The silence between them hurt more than the Empire's attack. Ilian walked slowly to the reflecting pool. The stars above danced gently in the water's surface. She sat down and pulled out Ilara's old notebook. It was something she had returned to again and again. Ilara's last sketches were hopeful symbols of unity, interlocked hands, shining planets. The woman had believed deeply in peace. Even more than Ilian did. But now Ilian felt lost. Her friend was gone. The galaxy was breaking. All she had left was guilt. "I should have spoken more," she whispered. "I should have told you I cared." Days passed. Ilian didn't return to the council chamber. The Empire called the attack unfortunate, mishandled, and investigated. But there was no justice. No truth. Just silence. Her colleagues told her to be patient and wait for diplomacy. But Ilian wasn't just a diplomat. She was a human. And humans, when wounded deeply, don't forget, they remember. They build. And they change. In the quiet of her room, she opened her personal console. Instead of speaking to the galaxy, she began writing to just one person. "Alara," she typed. "I never told you how much your hope changed me. When I doubted peace, you reminded me of its power. When I thought humans were too scattered, too proud, you reminded me of what we are at our best. Kind, creative, brave." She paused. Her hands trembled. "I miss you, and I wish I could talk to you now face to face. But maybe this message, though late, will carry my heart anyway." She saved the letter. Then she broadcast it not to the galaxy, not to politicians, but to a single frequency Alara once used for her poetry readings. The next morning, her console blinked. Messages flooded in. Not from Alara, but from people across the galaxy. Hundreds, thousands, humans, aliens, colonists, scholars, young children. Each message said the same. "Think I knew someone there. She changed my life. Thank you for remembering." Her, "I never said goodbye either." Ilian wept. But not from sadness this time. From warmth. She had felt alone, disconnected, like she had lost more than just a friend. She had lost her voice, her purpose. But now, she realized, connection doesn't end in silence. Sometimes it grows through it. Sometimes the heart finds its way even when the path is dark. That evening, Ilian walked back to the space garden. For the first time in months, she smiled. She looked up and whispered, "I'm still here, Alara. And I promise I'll carry your dream forward. Humanity doesn't run. We remember. We rise." The stars shimmered above, and deep in the silence, hope began to speak again. The next few days were unlike anything Ilian had seen in her years of service. Her quiet letter, meant only to reach Ilara's frequency, had become a thread connecting hearts across worlds. On over 70 planets, candle-like lights were placed. In windows, in oceanside cities, young humans floated memory lanterns into the skies. On alien worlds, people translated her message into hundreds of languages. Whispering Alara's name and the names of the others, they were not just victims now. They were symbols of kindness, of dreams, of peace torn too soon. Ilion didn't. Expect what happened next. A delegation of Faori scholars, a race, known for their centuries of neutrality, sent her a gift. It was a small, glowing orb that pulsed with a soft rhythm. It stored harmonies. If Faori had collected every public voice that had spoken Alara's name and turned it into a musical thread, song of unity. When Ilion activated it, tears welled. In her eyes, the voices sang, not with sadness, but strength. We remember, we carry, we grow. At the Galactic Council, silence still ruled. The Empire sat tall and proud. Their delegates wore dark robes and spoke of necessary sacrifices and regretful intelligence failures. But when they saw the song orb glowing on Ilion's desk, their words faltered. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't argue. She just let the song play quietly in the background while the Empire tried to explain their innocence. No one clapped. No one shouted. But afterward, several neutral species asked to visit Earth. Others refused to shake hands with the Imperial envoys. Ilion didn't smile. But deep inside, she felt something stir. Back on Earth, people changed. There was no call to war. No rallying cry. Instead, there was movement. Gentle, steady, powerful. Children wrote poems about the fallen. Scientists named stars after them. Human artists built sculptures, not of sorrow, but of connection hands from many species reaching for each other. Across space, even on faraway colonies, people who had never met Alara started planting trees in her name. The Garden of 500 Lights, they called it. And in every corner of human space, people remembered one thing: humanity's strength wasn't in its weapons. It was in its memory, its heart, its ability to mourn and still choose to create. One evening, as she stood on the sky balcony of the council dome, Ilion received a message. It was from a young girl on Artevel, an alien human colony. The girl had never met Alara, but she wrote, "I didn't know her, but I feel like I did. I drew her picture in my room. I want to be like her when I grow up, someone who helps people feel safe. Thank you for telling us about her," my mom says. "Peace isn't gone," she says. "People like you are keeping it alive." Ilion sat down slowly. She hadn't expected to feel this overwhelmed. The girl's words felt like sunlight through clouds. She remembered Alara once saying, "Real change doesn't come in parades or lasers. It comes in letters, in art, in how a child sees the world after hearing a story." Maybe the Empire thought they had crushed something, but they didn't understand. You cannot erase what humanity remembers. In a small studio, Ilion recorded her next message. It wasn't a speech. It wasn't an attack. It was a letter. Terry. Voice that sang. Every lantern that rose, every word spoken in remembrance, you have done something greater than I ever could. You've told the galaxy that we are not afraid, that we will not forget, that we will build not from anger, but from honor. This is not the end of peace. This is the moment it becomes ours to protect. Thank you for keeping their light alive. The message went viral, and as stars shone across the void, more and more worlds began to listen, not to the Empire's might, but to the heartbeat of humanity, a heartbeat that had just begun to echo through the stars. Jonas Venn had never liked crowds, not when he was a child, not as an adult, and especially not now, as he stood at the edge of Earth's Unity Square, surrounded by thousands of silent people holding lights in their hands. Above him, the names of the 500 women shimmered across the skyline, projected from thousands of tiny drones. The wind was soft. The city had gone quiet. Jonas stared up at one name only, Dr. Alara, Venda's sister, his little sister. He used to call her Starfire when they were young, because she loved looking at the night sky and drawing the shapes she imagined in the constellations. Now, her name floated in the sky, but she was gone. He hadn't spoken to her in 2 years. They didn't fight. Not really. Life just got busy. Alara had gone deep into diplomatic work. Jonas had taken a quiet job as a ship mechanic on Mars. They messaged each other on birthdays and holidays. But somewhere along the way, their bond had faded into silence. He told himself it was normal. Adult life, distance, time, now he would. Give anything for one more message. After the massacre on Laravel, Jonas shut down. He didn't cry. He didn't speak. Couldn't even read the headlines. The guilt clung to him like a shadow. He remembered the last message Alara sent. Just a simple recording. Hey, big brother. Saw a nebula today. They look like a phoenix. You would have loved it. I'm heading to Laravel for a conference. I'll try to send pictures. It'll be good. Okay. Love you. He had never replied. Standing in the crowd now, watching the sky sparkle with her name, Jonas felt like a ghost in his own skin. Everyone around him was honoring the fallen, singing, sharing stories, holding each other, but Jonas felt alone, but then alone distant, as if he didn't deserve to be here. She wanted peace, he whispered, and I didn't even say goodbye. He walked away from the square quietly, hands in his pockets. His legs took him back to the old community garden where Alara used to volunteer when they were kids. It was quiet here. It's overgrown. The old wooden bench was still there. Jonas sat down, looking at the stars between the tree branches, and for the first time in weeks, he spoke to her. Alara, I know I failed. I should have called. Should have told you I'm proud of you. You were always stronger than me. Braver. He paused. The words were hard, but they came anyway. I miss you. And I want to do something, but I don't know how.
I could say like that, like that.
Wind rustled the trees gently. And then he noticed something. A little girl, maybe 10 years old, walking with her father. She looked up at Jonas. Are you here for the lights? She asked. He nodded. My mom was there too, she said softly. She taught music. Jonas swallowed. I'm sorry. The girl smiled a little. It's okay. I'm writing a song. For her, my teacher says songs keep people alive. And she skipped back to her dad. Jonas sat frozen. Songs keep people alive. He remembered Alara saying that once. In fact, she'd said it often. Memories become seeds. The more you share them, the more they grow. The next day, Jonas did something he hadn't done in years. He opened his old digital sketchpad. He used to draw ship designs as a kid. And Alara used to draw beside him her stars, his engines. His hands were shaky, but he started drawing again. This time, not machines. He drew a picture of Alara, smiling, holding a star. Around her, symbols of every known species joined hands in a circle of light. It took him 3 days to finish. Then he uploaded it to the Galactic Archive, adding only one sentence beneath it. She believed peace could be stronger than fear. So I'm starting with this. He thought no one would notice. He was wrong. Within hours, artists all over Earth and even alien colonies began sharing their own memories. A movement grew. No slogans, no anger, just honor. And Jonas found himself invited to a council of builders, artists, educators, historians, people who wanted to shape the future through meaning. At missiles. At the first meeting, Jonas stood silently before the crowd. My sister died, he said, voice trembling. And I thought I was too late to make things right. He looked around at the bright, hopeful faces. But I think maybe remembering her is the first step. From then on, Jonas worked quietly. He helped design memorials, created community, murals, and mentored young creators who had lost family too. He didn't forget the sadness. But now, It didn't bury him. It moved with him. He couldn't go back and talk to Alara, but he could carry her forward. And in that choice, Jonas found what so many humans were discovering in their own way, that even in grief, hope is a choice. And humanity, when it chooses to rise not with fists, but with memory, love, and art, can change the galaxy forever. Lena worked in the Learning Dome on Europa Station, far from Earth and even farther from home. The curved walls were covered with holographic vines and light-filled. Quotes from human thinkers and artists, students from a dozen different species, walked between rooms learning about diplomacy, communication, art, and peace. But even in a place built for connection, Lena felt alone. Her mentor, Professor Nara, had been everything to her. She wasn't just a teacher, she was like a second mother, a voice of calm during storms. A believer in Lena, even when Lena didn't believe in herself. 2 years ago, Dara had transferred to Lyravel to help lead the new Human Peace Academy. There, they had promised to stay in touch. But life happened. Time passed. Messages became short, then rare, and then the news arrived. Lyravel was gone, and Nara was one of the 500. Lena had tried to stay strong. She continued teaching younger students. She smiled when needed. But every day felt like walking through fog. It wasn't just grief. It was the guilt of distance, of words left unsaid. She had meant to write back, meant to call. She thought there'd be time. Now all she had were memories. She sat alone in her room one evening, a cup of cold tea beside her, staring at a photo Nara, smiling, holding a book titled, "Speak So the Stars Hear You." It had been Nara's favorite quote. When you speak with purpose, she used to say, the universe listens. Lena whispered to the empty room, I don't know what to say anymore. The next morning something changed. She entered the main dome and saw a group of students gathered around a screen. On it was a message of tribute by a man named Jonas Vinn. He had posted artwork of his sister, Lot of the 500. Around the portrait were symbols of unity, hope, and connection. Under it he had written, she believed. Peace could be stronger than fear. So I'm starting with this. Lena stared at the image for a long time. Then something inside her shifted. Later that night, Lena opened a file Nara had once shared, a folder full of lesson plans, drawings, poems, and old lectures about building. Bridges between species. 1 recording stood out. Nara's voice crackled to life. It's not enough to want peace. You must build it. Quietly, gently, even when no one watches. Every kind act is a brick in the foundation. Never believe your work is too small. Lena listened 3 times. Then she sat up straight. I can't bring you back, she whispered. But I can build what you believed in. The next day, she proposed a new program at the Learning Dome, one where students from different species would team up to design real solutions planet repair tools. Communication bridges, shared art galleries. No grades, she told the staff. Just purpose. At first, some were unsure. But one by one, teachers supported her. Soon, the halls were full of color. A robot shaped like a dolphin helped repair. Coral reefs on Mars, a sculpture made of recycled metals, told the story of human alien friendship. A song written in 5 languages echoed through the learning chambers, and at the center of it all was Lena. She wasn't healed. Not yet, but she was moving. One afternoon, while guiding a group of young students, a message pinged on her wrist. Device name appeared. Nara's niece. Lena opened it quickly, heart pounding. Hi, I found your program. My aunt talked about you all the time. She kept a letter you wrote, even though she never sent a reply. She believed in you so much. I think you're doing exactly what she hoped. Thank you for remembering her the right way. Lena stared at the screen, tears filling her eyes. Her voice trembled as she whispered, I thought I was too late. But she wasn't, because memory is not made of time, it's made of meaning. Weeks passed. The program spread. 2 other stations. The council took notice. Even species far from human space asked to join. It wasn't war. It wasn't protest. It was something harder and stronger, creation, and in every dome. Every shared lesson, every smile across different faces, a quiet truth grew stronger. Humanity remembers. Humanity rebuilds. Humanity never gives up on peace, even when distant, even when grieving, even when the path is unclear. Because deep within every human heart, there is a fire, a gentle, stubborn flame, and once it's lit, it spreads hope like light through the stars. Zelu lived on the gentle plains of Soria 3, planet where bluegrass waved like ocean tides and skies glowed with two suns. His village was quiet, filled with song, farming, and simple peace. But for the last 6 months, Zelu's heart had felt heavy. He missed someone deeply. Her name was Mira, a human girl who had lived in the village. For 2 years, while her mother worked with the Saurian Peace Exchange, Myra had been loud, funny, curious. He ran faster than anyone, laughed louder than everyone, and always asked strange questions about the stars. Zelu had been shy at first, but Mira had pulled him out of his shell. They built tree towers together, swam in the moonlit lakes, shared stories under the stars. Then, one day, her mother was transferred. Myra left with a promise. "I'll write every week. We'll stay best friends forever." But the messages never came. After a month, Zelu thought, maybe her new life was too busy after 2 months. He worried. And by the time the news of the Lyravel massacre spread across the galaxy, Zelu felt like the stars themselves had gone cold. He didn't know where Mira had moved. He didn't know if she was safe. And worst of all, he didn't know if she remembered him at all. He still visited the old tree towers, sat on their favorite bench, brought his second sandwich every lunch, just in case she came back. But she didn't, and he felt forgotten. One afternoon, Zelu was walking home from the river when he saw a small group gathered in the village center. An elder was speaking. A large screen had been placed nearby, showing a video from Earth. He recognized the face. It was the human woman from the Galactic Council, Lilian Karas. She spoke softly, but her words reached into Zelu's heart. Even in our pain, we will not turn to fear. Even in silence, we will not forget each other. Our voices are still here. Love still matters. Zelu's fingers curled tightly. He had been silent too long. He went home and opened his old wooden box. Inside was a tiny music stone, something Mira had given him before leaving. It glowed when it played memories. He hadn't touched it in months. He placed it on his palm. It lit up, and Mira's voice played softly. "Zelu, don't forget me. Okay, you're the best friend in this whole galaxy. Someday I'll bring you starlight candy from Earth. I'll come back. Tai, promise." He blinked hard. His throat tightened. "Why didn't you write? Why did you disappear?" But then he remembered something Myra always said. Even if we're far, we still share the sky. The next day, Zelu went to the learning hall. He asked the village tech guides to help him find a way to contact Mira. They searched old networks, scrolled through records, and finally found her mother's new location, Orion Dome 12, Earth orbit. It wasn't certain, but it was something. Spent 3 days writing his message. He didn't know how to say what he felt, but in the end he told the truth. "Dear Mira, I miss you. I thought you forgot me. Maybe you didn't mean to. That's okay. I still go to our tower. I still remember your songs. If you ever think of me, I'm still here. Your friend Zelu." He attached a small voice file of their favorite river sounds. Then he sent it, and waited. A week passed. Then too, no reply. Zelu tried not to hope too much. Maybe the message got lost. Maybe she'd changed. But then late one night, his tablet blinked. Incoming message, Mira Ven. His heart jumped. He opened it, hands shaking. "Zelu, I got your message. I'm so sorry I didn't write. Everything happened so fast when we moved. And then, after Lyravel, my mom didn't let me use the net much. She was scared. But I thought about you every day. I still have the rock you gave me. I miss you so much. Can we talk again? I still want to send you that starlight candy." Zelu cried, then laughed, then wrote back as fast as he could. They talked the next day, then the next. Mira had changed. So had he. But the friendship, the real thing, had not died. Back in the village, Zelu walked to the old tree tower one evening. He looked at the stars and felt something new in his chest. Not just hope, purpose. He joined a youth council started by human volunteers. They were working to connect kids across species to share stories, dreams, projects, not protests, not blame. Just bridges. Zelu taught others how to use memory stones. He showed how messages, even if delayed, can still heal. He learned what many humans already knew. Even when time and space pull us apart, even when silence grows between us, connection can be rebuilt. And that quiet courage, that faith in others, was something the Empire could never control, because humanity's greatest strength was that they never gave up on each other. Peace volunteer, who moved away before the tragedy. She feels disconnected, uncertain, and overwhelmed by the galaxy's grief. But through her quiet work and a single brave idea, she begins to reconnect with him and with humanity's deeper purpose. HFY is shown through innovation, care, and the spirit of peaceful action. Kayla sat at her station, staring at the stars through the wide viewing glass of Haven 9, one of the last neutral engineering stations near the outer rim. Around her, machines hummed. Lights blinked. Drones glided quietly overhead, but inside her heart there was only silence. She hadn't spoken to her brother, Luca, in over a year. He had moved to a remote human colony moon called Serenos to help build peace centers. "I want to help where no one else looks," he had said before he left. They had always been close, raised together on a quiet earth farming colony. He was her protector, her biggest cheerleader, believed in peace even when others laughed at it. But then came the massacre on Lyravel, and after that came nothing. Kayla messaged him dozens of times. No reply. The network was still unstable in outer systems, and Serenos was far, quiet, and easily overlooked. But the silence aided her. Was he safe? Had he lost hope? Or had he just forgotten? Kayla worked in materials design. Her job was to create tools that could heal planets damaged by climate errors, machines that planted trees, cleaned oceans, or repaired domes after meteor storms. But these days, her hands moved slowly. Her thoughts were far away. One day, while adjusting a microplating arm, her supervisor, Sira, came up behind her. "Still nothing?" Sira asked gently. Kayla shook her head. Sira placed a hand on her shoulder. "You still care?" "What?" "That means something. Don't give up on people you love." Kayla looked down. "What can I do? He's so far. I don't even know if he's okay." Sira smiled. "Then send something that shows him you're still here." That night, Kayla didn't sleep. Instead, she sat at her table and opened her old project logs. She began sketching something she had dreamed of long ago, a small drone, not for work, not for war, but for connection. A memory courier. The idea was simple: a single solar-powered drone that could fly across long distances on autopilot, carrying just one message, a memory, a voice, a light. It wouldn't be fast, but it could go farther than standard communications. It would carry her heart. For Luca, she poured her time into it. She used soft metal shells that shimmered in sunlight. She gave it wings shaped like birds from their childhood forest. She programmed it to play his favorite song when it arrived. And inside, she placed a small crystal with her message: "Luca, I miss you. I hope you're safe. I hope you still believe in the dream we shared. If you've lost your way, just know I haven't lost you." When it was ready, she released it from Haven 9's outer gate. She stood there for a long time, watching the small silver drone fly away, growing smaller and smaller, until it disappeared into the stars. "I hope it finds you," she whispered. Weeks passed. She didn't expect anything to happen. She kept working, kept designing, kept holding the hope like a small light in her chest. Then, one morning, her wristband blinked. Incoming transmission. "Luca?" She froze. Opened it. His voice came through, cracked but clear. "Kayla, you crazy genius. It found me. I was on the Northern plane helping build water systems, and this little silver bird lands right next to me. You really sent that thing all the way here?" She laughed. Tears streaming down her face, he continued, I wanted to write. I just didn't know what to say after the massacre. After the silence, I felt like the dream was too far away. But your message reminded me, we're not alone. We never were. I love you. Thank you for not giving up on me. That day, Kayla felt like she could breathe again, but something else happened too. Her memory courier design went viral. Engineers from Mars, Venus, and even non-human settlements started adapting it. Soon, thousands of small drones began flying between stars, not to spy, not to threaten, but to connect. Messages of peace, songs, art, apologies, hope. A silent movement formed, the Sky Thread Project, and at its heart was one girl's message. To her brother, Kayla stood by the viewing glass again, weeks later. But this time, the sky wasn't silent. It glowed with tiny light drones crisscrossing in every direction. She's carrying a story. She smiled and whispered, we build because we remember. We send light because we care. Humanity didn't fight. Back with weapons? They responded with invention, with memory, with unshakable love across space, and in the quiet hum of thousands of message drones. The galaxy began to hear something new, humanity's gentle, unstoppable heartbeat. Rises to lead a peaceful resistance across the stars, feels forgotten and unsure if his voice still matters. But in the end, he finds connection again and learns that every voice counts. HFY shines through wisdom, memory, and humanities. Quiet courage to shape peace without force. Marek. Solon sat alone on the balcony of his small cabin on Earth's southern coast. Waves rolled gently below. The wind moved through the trees like an old song. He used to speak in grand chambers, used to walk among stars. Now he watched sunsets. It wasn't a bad life, but something inside him felt hollow. His days as a diplomat ended 5 years ago. That's when he handed his responsibilities to Ilian Karas the Sharp. He got a young leader who now carried humanity's voice in the Galactic Council. They had once been close. She was like a daughter to him. They'd shared coffee, walked the midnight halls of the old council building, whispered dreams about a better galaxy. But now she was leading something vast, something Marek could barely follow anymore. After the Lyravel massacre, he had expected war, rage, fire. But instead, something quieter, more powerful had begun. Children planting gardens, named after the fallen, drones carrying messages of hope, songs played in memory, not anger. A slow, rising wave of connection. In courage, it was beautiful. But Marek didn't feel part of it. He hadn't heard from Ilian in over a year. He told himself it was fine. She was busy. He was old. Things changed still. The silence hurt. One morning, he opened a message from the Unified Peace Stream. It was a recording from the newly built Celestial Garden, a living memorial orbiting Earth. Voices filled the air. I didn't know her, but I carry her name. We plant peace in her memory. We remember together. Marek closed his eyes, felt proud and distant. Ilian, he whispered, did I really matter to you? Or was I just a chapter in your beginning? Later that evening, Marek sat by his window. Holding a cup of warm tea, he noticed a small drone approaching through the sky. It shimmered with golden lights, shaped like a petal in the wind. It landed gently on his table and opened. A voice spoke. Marek, if you're hearing this, it means you're still watching the stars, and I hope you're smiling. It was Ilian. You once told me that peace isn't quiet. It's the sound of thousands choosing not to hate. I've never forgotten that. Every step I take, every word I speak in the council, carry your lessons. Her voice softened. I should have written sooner. Not because you needed to hear from me, but because I needed to say thank you. You taught me how to listen, how to pause, how to believe that the smallest truth could reshape a world. New peace? It has your fingerprints all over it? Marek felt his throat tighten. The message continued. I don't know if you'll ever want to speak publicly again, but if you do, we're holding a galaxy-wide stream. Anyone anywhere can. Send one message of hope. Just one.
We call it the Echo Day.
I hope you'll add your voice, even even if just a whisper. That night, Marek sat by the old audio console he hadn't touched in years. He stared at the microphone. Then, slowly, he pressed record. My name is Marek Solin. Once I thought I was too old, too quiet, too forgotten. But today, I remembered. Peace isn't a moment. It's a lifetime of small steps. If you're listening and you feel like your voice doesn't matter, let me be the one to say it does. You matter. You're not alone. We walk together, even if far apart. He sent it, and for the first time in a long time, he felt at peace. The next week, the Echo Day aired. Over 3 billion voices spoke. Some were just a single word. Hope, love. Still here. Others told stories, sang songs, shared memories, and through it all, Marek's quiet voice echoed again and again. He became a symbol not of power, but of presence, a reminder that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in fire or force, but in how they reached across time, distance, pain, and silence, and still chose to speak gently. Ilian visited Marek soon after. They didn't say much. They just sat on the porch, watched the stars, and smiled. She placed a hand over his. You were never just a chapter, she said. You were the spark. And so, while empires tried to rule with fear, while governments crumbled and lies faded, the voice of humanity stayed strong, not loud, but true. In every child's whisper, in every elder's wisdom, in every drone, garden, song, and story. They built something greater than war. They built a peace that could not be silenced, because humanity learned the oldest truth of all. When you remember each other, you are never truly apart.